Hi, I'm Lou Covey, Editorial Director of Footwasher Media, and this is a New Tech Press report on FPGA verification and prototyping. And I'm here with Steve Pollock, the Vice President of Business Development and Marketing for S2C, a startup company in this area. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, Steve, FPGA prototyping and verification has become big news this year. Basically because FPGAs have gotten to the point where they are essentially the same size as SOCs, so they can be used as in early stages of electronic systems. And the tools that are being used to verify are just as complex and sometimes as expensive as the ones for ASIC design. You're in a particular area with S2C. Could you tell us a little bit about S2C and what it is you're doing?
Yeah, so S2C is focused on FPGA prototyping, and it's true that we use FPGAs, but actually our business is to support people who are designing ASICs and SoCs. And the company was founded in 2003 with a vision on SoC and ASIC design and verification. We support a full range of tools, not just the FPGA prototyping boards, and we have boards from that support 1.8 million gates to 32.8 million gates, and larger boards, in the works. We're on our 4th generation technology, delivering that to our customers, and we have 5th generation technology that's well under development right now.
Okay, so can you talk about some of the high-end stuff, but what I've noticed with this whole area of FPGA prototyping, it's the reason people look at the FPGAs is it's a less expensive way of going through the design process. So companies that are smaller than, say, Intel, Texas Instruments, can actually get into the game. How do you help those companies that may be necessarily moving up into their development into a higher level of design?
We tend to think of FPGA prototyping as hardware design, and it certainly is. But the real benefit is in software development, and about 70% of our boards are used for software development. So even though the initial boards are used by the hardware developers to get the hardware designed and verified, it's the real benefit comes into software development. So even big companies, and we have a number of big companies who use our products, you just can't afford $1 million emulation systems for each software developer, and we're seeing this ratio of about 70% of the boards. It becomes, even for big companies, it just doesn't become practical to use the FPGA or to use emulators for software development.
So are you seeing the users, not necessarily the customers, but the users to be the software developers that are in the hardware companies?
Yes. So that's the very interesting dynamic, and people are developing, SoCs and ASICs. They're very complex, and one of the takeaways from the famous EDA 360 paper was an IBS curve, which showed that the software development content of an ASIC and SoC is not only larger than the hardware engineering content, but it's actually growing at a much faster rate. So that's the highest growing cost.
How does the S2C technology integrate with the tools and services provided by companies like Altera?
Yeah, so we work very very closely with Altera and Xilinx to integrate their tools into our flow. So what tools are those? Those are the place and route tools to place and route the FPGAs, and the debug tool.
Right.
We have a product called TypeLayer Pro, which actually front ends those tools. So transparently, the user can stay in our environment and partition the design across multiple FPGAs, set up the probe points and the simulation points that he wants to look at, and we pass all that information onto the Xilinx or Altera tools, and actually the user can switch between Xilinx or Altera and still stay in the same environment. And we do have customers that are using both Xilinx and Altera boards with our system.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the industry itself. I mean, there are all kinds of things that are happening within this. I understand that you're in a specific area, but there are lots of questions that people have about, are we there where we're supposed to be? Like, people say they're looking for making it easier to get a design onto a prototype, verifying the design source once it's mapped onto the prototype, debugging, hardware, software code simulation capabilities, and hybrid prototypes using both FPGAs and virtual prototypes. How are we coming along with that? What's S2C doing in those areas?
We work very closely with our customers to understand what the customer problems are, and we've announced this year our verification module technology, and that technology has three different modes of operation, and one of them is verification, one of them is debug, and one of them is logic. So these boards can be used as traditional prototyping boards, but more importantly, they can be used as a high-speed bridge between the user's simulation or verification environment and the FPGA. So we can pipe data with a Gen 2 PCI Express between those environments, and we have a customizable C API, or you can use a scheme interface, which is a well-documented interface. So with that, the customer can connect his existing verification environment to the FPGA prototyping environment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve.
Okay, you're welcome.